for other seniors along with many other activities. Many of our members have recently informed us of their difficulty they are having to make ends meet financially due to the inflation that we are all facing today. I join our membership in asking the Retirement Board to form a committee to explore a cost of living increase for the dedicated former employees of Allegheny County. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have the president's updates. So one update is that on March 26th, April 16th, May 8th, and May 21st, the working group on plan funding and modernization met. And then the second comment I have is a piece of news about Walt's upcoming, I'm calling it a retirement. As most folks in this room know at this point, this is our last board meeting with Director Walt Szymanski at the helm of the retirement office. His final day with us will be next Friday, May 29th. He's accepted the role of pension manager for the Western Pennsylvania Teamsters Pension Fund. They're very lucky to have him. Walt, on behalf of the board and me personally, thank you. Your career with the county has spanned from the controller's office, where I believe acting controller Amy Weiss Clements hired you many years ago, to the DA's office, if I'm remembering right, to the council office, to the retirement office. You entirely stayed out of departments. But really, thank you for your many years of dedicated service to the county and the retirement office. Your prior service as a member of this board when serving as budget director to county council provided a history and experience with the plan that has proved valuable to your running of the plan. As I look at this board, I realize I'm one of the newer members and have known you the least amount of time, but I know that this board could not have accomplished all it has in the time I've served as president without your leadership. I arrived here never having served on a public board before, and you shepherded me through the monthly responsibilities of serving as president of it. I had a one-year goal of improving transparency, and you were my quick partner in improving the clarity and contents of agendas, recording meetings for YouTube and transcribing all the meetings, honing our use of executive sessions, providing additional information and reports to our website, moving to a practice of first and second readings of many voting items, and creating and ratifying bylaws. We even shaved down the number of board meetings per year to increase capacity at the office and dedicate time to additional board priorities. Before my arrival, you had endeavored on many aspects of modernizing the administrative systems and processes, including working with Coriac on the transition and creation of Pension Bridge for administration of the plan. I hear there was also a vast digitization of records and documents once you got into the office. In the past year, your energy and coordination to foster the productivity and success of the working group on plan funding and modernization has helped build a tremendous foundation to address the plan's underfunded status. I'm getting quite bullish that we'll be able to look back 20 years from now and see how our current work has successfully set up the long-term funding of the plan. Current and future me, thank you for that. Your work has made a lasting and meaningful impact on both the retirement office and your colleagues and board members. Thank you again for your outstanding contributions and commitment. We wish you the very best in what comes next to you as your role at the Western Pennsylvania Teamsters Pension Fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'll come up.
And there's a certificate.
Oh.
Nice special events camera. Here.
As they all come down, I will read. The Retirement Board of Allegheny County Certificate of Recognition awarded to Walter W. Szymanski, Allegheny County Employees Retirement System. This certificate of recognition is awarded to Walt Szymanski for over 23 years of dedicated service to Allegheny County and the Retirement Board of Allegheny County. Walter Szymanski, a lifelong resident of Allegheny County, has served as the director of Allegheny County Retirement Board since 2017. During his tenure as director, Mr. Szymanski has worked to streamline processes, implement new initiatives set by the board, including implementation of a new customized pension software system, and worked diligently to serve all the active, deferred, and retired members of the plan. The Retirement Board of Allegheny County commends Mr. Szymanski for his dedication in service to the trustees, retirees, and employees of Allegheny County. Presented on behalf of the Retirement Board of Allegheny County, this 21st day of May 2026, signed by Erica Bresselars, sorry about that, and Frank DeCristofaro.
Thank you. I want everybody up.
We'll go to here.
Rolf, don't fail me. Rolf should be in the middle.
Yeah, I was gonna wait for my report.
I like jumped up and put Thank you.
Stand up here and talk.
Ooh, hot mic.
Thank you very much for the kind words. It's overwhelming, honestly, being that this is my last meeting in this capacity for Allegheny County. I did write in your board packets, I don't have it in front of me, but just to thank you, but I'll just kind of go over that. So when I started at the county, almost 24 years ago, I never realized that this is where it would take me. And I'm happy that the road I was on. Between, starting at the controller's office under Amy's tutelage as an auditor, learning how all the county departments functioned, it gave me a really good foundation for county government. From there I transitioned to work for Steve Zappala as his finance manager for 6 years. From there transitioned to county council as their budget director, where I sat on the retirement board. And then now I would say this is my crowning achievement in this role the last 9 years for all we've done in the office. I want to thank my staff. I couldn't do it without them. I want to thank the board for always supporting me in my initiatives and things I wanted to do to make the office better. I thank the consultants between Chris and Tim and Mariner, Brad and Todd over at Acrisure. Brian's been my right-hand man. I'd say we're Batman and Robin. I don't know who's who, but maybe we've switched those roles sometimes, but he's been by my side ever since I've been here, and the support that I have here is just nothing short of amazing. And without that team in place and without those people, I couldn't be where I am today. So I guess going back 9 years, I want to thank current and past board members for giving me this opportunity to prove myself and to really do good things. And I always felt this job was very rewarding, especially guiding members to retirement, because they're scared and it's a change of life. But I always felt happy when someone would come back 3 months later, 6 months later and say, I should have did this sooner. Like, you made it so easy. So that was it's been a very rewarding experience, and I can't thank you enough. And I have to thank my wife too, because she's here and she sees the ins and outs of the inside world when I'm stressed, but supports me all the way through. And thank you to everybody, to the treasurer's office, to the controller's office. I would truly mean that. I can't thank all of you enough, and this is really special. And thank you for your kind words too.
That concludes the president's updates. Moving on to board approvals.
All right, first item is a motion to ratify the approval of the board meeting minutes for the March 19th, 2026 board meeting.
Go ahead. Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
Second item is a motion to accept the financial statements, which include the pension fund assets, the statement of changes in plan net assets, and the RBAC balance sheet for February and March 2026.
Make that motion.
Second. Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
Next item is a motion to approve the May invoices totaling $419,095.45.
Motion.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
Okay, next item on the agenda are applications. The first of which is a motion to ratify the approval of the following April 2026 applications. There were 6 early voluntary and 12 full retirements.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
Next will be a motion to approve the following May 2026 applications. There were 6 early voluntary, 6 full retirements, and 1 recalculation.
Make a motion.
Second. Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes. Next, we have reports first from our director, Walt Szymanski.
Thank you very much. If you turn to the Directors tab in your board books, I'll just highlight some areas on the dashboard. Retiree payroll finally crossed 13 million last month, so we're up about 4.73% as compared to last year, which has been the trend. It seems like year over year it's a 4 to 5% increase. Contributions are up 3.7%. Contributions refunded are almost double at this time last year. We'll have to look into that a little bit more as to why. Number of refunds are also increased by about 100. If you go down to the bottom of the page, we have the listing of the active, and these are anybody paying into the plan. The payees are your retirees and your deferred vested members. If you turn to the next page, total retirements are pretty much right in line as of last year. We had 125 this year and 129 last year. Pension estimates are increasing. There are a lot more online portal logins, which is nice, so everybody is using those online member logins. And then capital calls as of the last meeting were about 2.5 million, and the operating budget as of April 30th is listed. Are there any questions on dashboard items? Okay. So first, I have 2 items for approval. The first were circulated last month, and it's a motion to accept and approve the 2025 audited financial statements and schedules. These were presented and audited by Case Sabatini. The financial statements are posted to the website. Financial schedules are for the board, and upon acceptance and approval, we will post.
Make that motion.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda was circulated last month as well. It's a motion to approve a budget request from SME Consulting. This is for additional funding in the amount of $20,000 for services that are being provided. The contract would be amended for a new amount not to exceed $95,290.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next are some board updates. So the draft 2025 annual report is included for review. I'm sure there'll be some finishing touches on it before it actually gets approved by the board next month. The financial and actuary parts of it have been reviewed by the controller's office and Brad's team at Acrashore, so those numbers should all be good. We received responses for the financial wellness. There are 2 of them. They're included for review. We received 1 response for the medical examination services. That's included for review. And then lastly, next Wednesday, I will be presenting at the Papers Conference in Harrisburg. We're going to be giving a presentation on our new software and what we did to get there and the reasons we chose building over buying. So with that, just once again, thank you all for everything.
Thank you. I have one question about
Yes.
this. My understanding is that the RFP responses for financial wellness and medical examination services, they'll be reviewed by Brian Gabriel and Carol
Yes.
Uminski, and they'll provide a recommendation to the board? Okay, great.
Yeah, I would anticipate that at probably the June meeting,
Okay.
and if not, August.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Current contracts run through 12/31, so there's time to review.
Great. Next is the solicitor report. Brian Gabriel.
Thank you, Erica. Yeah, the solicitor's report is dated May 14. The first item in the report under new matters, Amgen Inc., is also the only action item, and based upon the recommendation and the review process described in subsection A of new matters, I have a request that the board consider a motion to authorize Chemicals, Schwartz, Kreiner, and Donaldson Smith to submit a books and records demand under Delaware law on Amgen Inc.
Make that motion.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
I had no other items outside of the report to bring to the board's attention, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any solicitor questions? No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have our one consultant from Merit Institutional, Chris Brokaw.
Just me today.
Just one.
Tim had a conflict, sends his regards. So if you look in the last tab of the book, you'll see our quarterly performance report, and I want to cover a few pages related to asset allocation, cash flows, performance, and the watch list. And so if you turn to page 12, Page 12
of what? It was a bad joke, never mind.
No, I didn't do the page numbering. Tim must have. So on page 12, the asset allocation, a couple of items that I wanted to mention. First, we did make some adjustments to the asset allocation. I guess that was about 9 months ago. And the largest parts that were impacted were the U.S. equity at the top line, core fixed income, the third line down, and private equity at the bottom. So those targets were for private equity were lowered, and for the core bonds and U.S. equity were increased. And over the last number of months, quarters, we've been taking action, and you approved at the last meeting some rebalancing that is still being implemented in the portfolio. So that was increasing the U.S. equity and increasing the core bonds. And you see the core bonds right now are right on the border of their target policy range. We're still building that out. You know that the bottom few asset classes, private real estate, infrastructure, private equity, are illiquid. So for example, in private real estate, part of the rebalancing that's still out there, we've requested money from one of your managers, Morgan Stanley, and the nature of their portfolio is we requested $15 million, and quarterly they pay out a portion of that. That's going into the bond portfolio when it comes. So that's going on quarterly. Private real estate, that's what I mentioned. There's those pending distributions, and I'll get to some of the illiquid investments that are in private real estate that hadn't been making distributions, have started to make distributions. So that should bring that allocation lower. The total value of the portfolio, maybe I buried the headline here, $988 million. You can see that in the table at the bottom. If you go to page 15, starting on page 15 is the financial reconciliation. It shows the cash flows. So which you'll see here, some of the larger amounts, like on page 15 towards the middle, the non-U.S. equity composite, you see $5 million coming from that portfolio. You see the fixed income having positive inflows, increasing that portfolio. High yield, a slight decrease in the overall value of the portfolio. And then on the next page, when you look at real estate, you see almost $11 million coming out of real estate in the quarter. Some of that was the rebalancing. The first two items you see on the net flows, Morgan Stanley and the Erect Fund, that was part of the rebalancing that the board had approved. My earlier comment relates to the three funds towards the bottom, Valstone, and especially the Valstone 6 fund with a almost $2.3 million distribution. That portfolio is invested in real estate properties. It's a illiquid fund. It's a limited partnership structure. So years ago, you contributed capital, and now they're starting to distribute it. So post-COVID, there was a lot of volatility in the real estate market, and I just wanted to draw your attention to that because you see those three investments together add up to almost $45 million, and they hadn't been paying out, and now they've started. So that a fair expectation, but not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, is that those distributions will continue as the market for their investments has improved. So I did want to point that out. If we turn to page 19 and page 19 and 20 specifically address the private equity portfolio. And I wanted to draw your attention to the top line on page 19. Over the course of the quarter, $3 million was distributed from the private equity portfolio, $3 million net. So, and there's 20 individual funds that made distributions, and you can see some of them are relatively small, some much more meaningful, but that is also a part of the portfolio, much like the real estate investments that I mentioned, this illiquid portion of your portfolio that is making some distributions. And as those distributions are made, reflecting back on the asset allocation, those allocations will decline over time. All right, page 26. This is in the quarterly report. I don't usually spend a lot of time on it, but it is I think, an interesting snapshot that really just summarizes the comments I made earlier about liquid versus illiquid portions of the portfolio. So on page 26, you can see that illiquid portion of the portfolio, $197 million, and that's about 20% of the portfolio. And most of that is in the real estate and that private equity portion of the portfolio. And both of those, as I mentioned, as you saw, are making distributions. So that illiquid portion is declining. One more, or actually two more pages. First one, page 28, performance. For the quarter, your portfolio for the first quarter ending March 31st was up half a percent, and this was in a period, January and February were relatively well, they were modestly positive months, and then March was very negative, and you can see the impact on the quarter from the one month, the month of March, in the U.S. and non-U.S. equity markets particularly hurt by rising oil prices and volatility both in the stock market, but also volatility in the fixed income market and interest rates, and that had a negative impact. On the positive side, in the quarter, you can see the alternative asset classes were not impacted like the public markets, and especially the equity, U.S. and international equity. Now, the volatility in the market has continued, and when I say volatility, it doesn't mean negative, volatility on the upside and downside. So after a horrible month of March, the month of April and through May to date has been very positive for markets. A lot of those declines have been made up and even surpassed. And for example, is the S&P 500. After those March declines, not only came back, but it has hit repeatedly all-time highs. But is this the third or fourth time I said but? But there's still no firm resolution to the conflict with Iran, the price of oil. There's a lot of uncertainty. So. Good news and bad news. The good news for your portfolio and my summation of the performance is you had some other asset classes that helped dampen the volatility in the quarter. And finally, watch list on page 36. And the item that I wanted to draw your attention to is Bailey Gifford. On the watch list. It's the only manager on the watch list. And even though the note there, well, I shouldn't say even though. The note is they've been on the watch list for 1 quarter, which is technically true. They've had some ups and downs over the last five years that have brought them from time to time on the watch list. Then they had some improvement. We want to take a harder, closer look at them in the next quarter and come back to you with a conclusion on how to proceed with them. So I guess my point is, even though they've only been on the watch list for 1 quarter, there are other factors that lead us to want to take a closer look. And that is all of my prepared comments for the portfolio. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? We had an agenda item that there'd be a motion to approve a rebalancing recommendation. Is that
yes.
the case? Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That was just addressing the report.
Okay.
So the recommendation, and you saw the asset allocation on page 12. And heard my comments regarding the repositioning in the portfolio. The liquid portion of the portfolio that's readily available for distributions is and has, even though it's right on target, relatively speaking, the lowest allocation, or I should say the highest allocation relative to its target in international. U.S. equity and the core bonds and the high yield are below their targets. So we're targeting the international part of the portfolio for cash flow needs. And what I'm requesting is approval for $5 million from Bailey Gifford, $10 million from Siegel Bryant Hamel to fund the upcoming distributions in the month of June. We do have the let's say regular operational approval for me to coordinate with Walt. Walt's not going to be here. And so that's why I'm coming to you with this approval. Just want to make sure that, we have everything in order for the month of June. And we will continue to work with the office, with everyone in the office, and if there's anything that extra that's required, we're certainly ready, willing, and able partners, especially during a transition period. So the ask again is $5 million from Bailey Gifford, $10 million from Siegel Bryan Hamill.
Is it in the book? I don't see it in the book. Is it written up?
I did not write up a recommendation, no.
The second one was Siegel Bryan
Siegel Bryan Hamill,
Hamill.
yeah.
And so we typically, we've been looking at these and with a written up we can do the motion verbally maybe we do the motion, then if there's discussion about it, we discuss. Okay. I'm looking for a motion to approve rebalancing $5 million, a cash raise of $5 million from Bailey Gifford and $10 million from Siegel Bryan Hamill.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a motion in a second, is there any discussion?
I do. Just so I understand, you probably didn't write it up because prior to you're given the authority by us to work with Walt in a certain capacity.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not, because you know how I am about writing it up. So you went into a little bit of detail as to the justification, right? You just go in a little bit more, just so I have a deeper understanding, and then I'll be fine.
Yeah, sure. So page 12, to look at the asset allocation again. We are receiving from the illiquid investments, as I mentioned, some cash, but on a monthly basis, we continue to need to raise cash from the liquid portion of the portfolio. And the liquid portion of the portfolio is really the top 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. And so as I move through the U.S. equity, we're building up that position. Again, we changed the target to raise it, so I didn't want to take anything from the U.S. equity. The core bond portfolio is currently right on the edge of the lower bound, so we actually want to increase that allocation, and high yield is also below its target. So the liquid portion of the portfolio that is actually at or above the target is the non-U.S. portion of the portfolio. Given our view on Bailey Gifford, we had, in coordination with the pension office, we had been and the fact that international was over its target, we had been trimming some of those positions according to the authority that we were given. So that's why the international, the Siegel Bryan Hamill, has actually done really well. And it is, of your international managers, it is the emerging market manager. It's also a value-oriented manager, so it's in a position where it has performed really well, and its allocation has gone up. When you look at your total international allocation, you have the Bailey Gifford and Siegel Bryan Hamill that I already mentioned. You have the State Street Index Fund, which is low-cost, broad exposure, and Fidelity core international portfolio that has been doing as expected. So focusing on the international, and then why these two managers versus, any of the others in the international portion of the portfolio. That's how we arrived at the conclusion.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? There's a wedding downstairs.
Whoa. All right.
Or a
That's-
rally. So to bring a vote, so on the motion to approve $5 million raised out of Bailey Gifford and $10 million from Siegel Brian Hamill, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
I'd appreciate more enthusiasm.
I'm
I mean,
I'm having a hard time concentrating with the cheering going on in the courthouse. Anything else, Chris?
No, that's
Okay,
it.
Great,
Thank you.
Under new business, an announcement of the 2026 board election results per the RBAC election policy and procedures that were updated and approved at the March 19th, 2026 board meeting. Section 9 on page 4 reads, if an election has only one candidate who qualifies to appear on the ballot, no election will be conducted. Therefore, I declare Frank DiCristofaro elected by acclamation in accordance with Section 46 of Robert Rules of Order. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very glad to have you back for another term. And then I have just one more, a little update related to Walt's departure. The treasurer's office and staff has been having several meetings with Walt and his staff around processes in the interim, and we also involved the controller's office in some of those discussions, and so we'll continue. And I expect to convene the board in an executive session in the next week or two to discuss our interim plan. So I just wanted to let that be known. Is there anything? Can I have our next meeting is June 18th, 2026. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Take the motion.
Moved.